जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा जय गिरिवर धारी जय गिरिवर धारी यशोदा नंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदा नंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदा नंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी जय यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय राधा माधव की जय जगन्नाथ बलदेव रामायण की जय नरसिंह भगवान की जय पंच तत्व की जय षड गोस्वामी की जय गुरु परंपरा की जय शिल प्रभुपाद की जय शिल गुरुदेव की जय पिता गौर प्रेमानंद हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of God Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. नष्टप्रायेष भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके bhaktir naistiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So Hare Krishna, Prabhu Mataji, welcome all of you. So the two verses given to me for discussion today from Srimad Bhagavatam, from 4th canto, 4th chapter, verse number 28 and 29. So let us start with 4:28. Tatpashyatam ke bhuvichat mahat aheti vadha sumahanajayat antapriyadaivatamasya devi jahavasunken sati prakopita. Sorry. Tatpashyatam ke bhuvichat mahat aheti vadha सुमहानजायत अन्तःप्रियादैवतमस्य देवी जहावसून्केन सती प्रकोपिता. Anybody wants to recite? Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
तत्पश्यतां के भुविताद्भुतं महत् आहेतिवाधसु महान् अजायत हन्ता प्रिया दैवतामस्य देवी जाहावसून्केन सती प्रकोपिता.
Very nice word. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Go to the word meaning. Tat, that, Pashyatam, of those who had seen, K, in the sky, Bhuvi, on the earth, Cha, and Adbudam, wonderful, Mahat, great, Ha, ha, oh, oh, Iti, thus, Vyadaha, roar, Sumahan, tumultuous, Ajayata, occurred, Hanta, alas, Priya, the beloved, Daiva Tamasya, of the most respectable demigod, Lord Shiva, Devi, Sati, Jahau, quit, Asun, her life, Kena, by Daksha, Sati, Sati, Prakopita, angered. Translation and purport by Divine Guru Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Please hear the translation and purport. When Sati annihilated a body in anger, there was a tumultuous roar all over the universe. Why had Sati, the wife of the most respectable demigod Lord Shiva, quit her body in such a manner? Purport. There was a tumultuous roaring all over the universe in the societies of the demigods of different planets, because Sati was the daughter of Daksha, the greatest of all kings, and the wife of Lord Shiva, the greatest of all demigods. Why did she become so angry that she gave up her body? Since she was the daughter of a great personality and wife of a great personality, she had nothing to desire, but still she gave up her body in dissatisfaction. Certainly, this was astonishing. One cannot attain complete satisfaction even if one is situated in the greatest material opulence. There was nothing Sati could not achieve, either from her relationship with her father or from her relationship with the greatest of the demigods, but still, for some reason, she was dissatisfied. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam 126 explains that one has to achieve real satisfaction. Yayatma suprasidati. But Atma, the body, mind, and soul, all become completely satisfied only if one develops devotional service to the absolute truth. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adokshaje. Adokshaja means the absolute truth. If one can develop his unflinching love for the transcendental supreme personality of Godhead, that can give complete satisfaction. Otherwise, there is no possibility of satisfaction in the material world or anywhere else. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Go to the 29. Aho anatmyam mahadasya pashyata prajapatiryasya characharam prajaha jahavasuniyat vimatatmajasati मनस्विनी मानम अभीक्ष्णमर्हति. अहो अनात्म्यं महदस्य पश्यत प्रजापतेर्यस्य चराचरं प्रजाः जहावसून्यत् विमतात्मजा सति मनस्विनी मानम् अभीक्ष्णमर्हति. Any one of you can decide, please.
Hare Krishna, may I?
Yes.
अहो अनात्म्यं महत् अस्य पश्यत प्रजापतेर्यस्य चराचरं प्रजाः जगावसून् जगावसून्यत् विमतात्मजा सती मनस्विनी बाणम् अभीक्ष्णम् अर्हति.
Thank you, very good, very nice. Oh, what word meaning synonyms? Aho, oh, anatmyam, neglect, mahad, great, asya of Daksha, pashyata, just see, prajapatehe of the Prajapati, yasya of whom, chara acharam, all living entities, prajaha, offspring, jahav, gave up, asun, her body, yet by whom, vimata, disrespected, atmaja, of his own daughter, sati, manaswini, voluntarily, manam, respect, avikshnam, repeatedly, arhati, deserved. Translation and purport by Divine Geshe Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Please hear the translation purport. It was astonishing that Daksha, who was Prajapati, the maintainer of all living entities, was so disrespectful to his own daughter Sati, who was not only chaste, but was also a great soul, that she gave up her body because of his neglect. Purport. The word anatmya is significant. Atmya means the life of the soul. So this word indicates that although Daksha appeared to be living, actually he was a dead body. Otherwise, how could he neglect Sati, who was his own daughter? It was the duty of Daksha to look after the maintenance and comforts of all living entities, because he was situated as Prajapati, the governor of all living entities. Therefore, how is it that he neglected his own daughter, who was the most exalted and chaste woman, a great soul, and who therefore deserved the most respectful treatment from her father? The death of Sati because of her being neglected by Daksha, the father, was most astonishing to all the great demigods of the universe. Jai Shri Prabhupada's transcendental purport ki jai. Om Jnanadmarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Dadati Subhadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shriyatapadakamlam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarajatam Sahagana Raghunathamitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saganalita Shri Vishaka Tamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभयेव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचि इमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयति अखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यां च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणानमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपात्मं जगतां नमो विष्णुपदाविष्णुपदाविष्णुतमाशोऽस्मि नमो विष्णुपदाविष्णुपदाविष्णुभक्तिविदां निर्विशेषोऽपश्चादिष्टानि जय श्री कृष्ण श्री अद्वैत. So Hare Krishna, Prabhuji's Matajis. Welcome all of you for this wonderful Srimad Bhagavatam session for Iskcon Seshadripuram. Today is 31st of July 2024 And we are discussing verse number 28 and 29 from fourth canto, fourth chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a beautiful chapter. A lot of lessons we already been learning through various daily these classes of this chapter and the previous ones as well. From where it started, no, where Daksha disrespected Lord Shiva. So there is one verse in Bhagavatam 5:18-9, which we should recite every day. Otherwise, this enviousness, everything will always be there around, right? It's a beautiful verse. Swastyastu vishwasya kala prasidata dhyayantu bhutani shivam mitodiya manascha bhadram bhajata dadokshaje aveshatamno matirapya haituki. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Very beautiful translation. What it says is, may there be good fortune throughout the universe, and may all envious persons be pacified. May all living entities become calm by practicing Bhakti Yoga, for by accepting devotional service, they will think of each other's welfare. Therefore, let us all engage in the service of the Supreme Transcendence, Lord Shri Krishna, and always remain absorbed in thought of Him. I think there's a disturbance. I just mute. Sorry. Okay, Hare Krishna. So this we're talking about so that the envious person will be satisfied and pacified. Because who was envious? Daksha was envious, right? So we have to learn this. And we saw from this chapter, from the 11th verse onwards, Sati is speaking. See, we saw Daksha as an example of a leader overcome by pride. Why? Because of focus on material expertise rather than devotional auspiciousness. Very nice word, right? Daksha is a leader, but he was overcome pride because of his focus on material expertise rather than devotional auspiciousness. So Daksha is the personification of expertness. Daksha means expert. Personified expertness. So he cursed Lord Shiva, who was the personification of devotional auspiciousness. Shiva. So later on, what happened? Sati, that is Lord Shiva's devoted wife, she went to Daksha in defense of her husband. She spoke against her father. She said, "Oh, twice born Daksha, a man like you can simply find fault in the qualities of others. Lord Shiva not only finds no faults with others' qualities, but if someone has a little good quality, he magnifies it greatly. Unfortunately, you have found fault with such a great soul." That's what she was telling in the 4:4:12 verse, right? So the most important qualities of a spiritual leader, Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu, is given. See, Lord Shiva, while he overlooks whatever bad qualities are there, he's expert in finding out even the smallest good quality in a person and magnify that greatly. Gudamscha Falgun Bahuli Krishnayo. So Sati explained to Daksha that elevated personalities like Lord Shiva are not bound by the rules of dharma, which otherwise bind all people on the earth. He says, Prabhupada says, elevated transcendentalists may sometimes forego the rules and regulations of the Vedas, since they do not need to follow them. Just as the demigods travel in space, whereas ordinary men travel on the surface of the earth. So she explained to Daksha, there are two kinds of activities prescribed for people of two different systems, namely material attached, that is pravritti, and materially detached, nivritti. So both activities may be neglected by a person who is transcendently situated, such as Lord Shiva. That is what Prabhupada writes in 4:19 and 20. See, the activities of the detached and attached in Vedic society is, see, Nivritti Dharma is the only practice allowed in 3 ashramas of Brahmacharya, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa, who are walking the path of renunciation, right? Like a student in which one can enter household life at the completion of study and then can become like a pensioner and completely renounced monk, right? See, they learn to practice dharma with the aim of moksha, or the fifth goal of life called Krishna Prema. Pravritti Dharma is for those attached to material enjoyment. So, out of the four ashramas in Vedic society, the Mahabharata 13.129.16 points out Grahastha householder, no? Grahastha ashrama as only one for Pravritti Dharma activities. Pravritti Lakshano Dharmo Grahasteshu Vidiyate. So the goal of liberation from material life is also not forgotten in such a life, but will be in proportion to the householders taking care of, regularly inviting and giving charity to the renounced orders, and thus receiving instructions from them in Krishna consciousness. Without which one's house is a dark well, andhakupam. So Sati chose to give up her life on the spot by the process of mystics, self-combustion, Prabhupada says. She does this in order to purify herself of the sinful contamination of merely being in the same family as Daksha, the offender of a pure devotee like Lord Shiva. That's why in 26 and 27, Sati, due to anger towards her father, began to meditate on the fiery air within the body. So Sati concentrated all her meditation on the holy lotus feet of her husband, Lord Shiva, who is the supreme spiritual master of all the world. So she became completely cleansed of all the taints of sin and quit her body in a blazing fire by meditation on the fiery elements. So in the purport, Prabhupada, he stresses the importance of giving up association with non-devotees. Asat Sanga Tyaga. So this severe example set by Sati is to be followed. That is, not to burn ourselves in fire. Right? One should be extremely careful about associating with persons who are not respectful to the higher authorities. Very important statement. One should be extremely careful about associating with persons who are not respectful to the higher authorities. So it is instructed, therefore, in the Vedic literature that one should always be free from the association of atheists and non-devotees and try to associate with devotees. See, in this material world, we identify each other based on bodily relationship and fail to see all the living entities with spiritual vision. As a result, what happens? There is always some quarrel, misunderstanding, and ultimately we feel disturbed. So these thoughts keep troubling our minds. See, through the pastime of Daksha Yajna, no, Prabhupada is teaching us how we can forget such thoughts and give up the bodily concept of life. See, once Prajapati Daksha, no, father of Mother Sati, arranged for a yajna, right? And purposefully did not invite Lord Shiva and Brahmaji. Still, Sati wanted to go there. So, in the pretext of seeing her friends and family, she requested Lord Shiva to come for the sacrifice. And when Lord Shiva refused, she decided to go alone. See, her inner intention was not to just see her family, but to reveal Daksha about the glories of Lord Shiva and make him realize his mistake. And at the sacrificial arena, no, she realized that Daksha had not only failed to invite Lord Shiva, but he had not welcomed Sati and had again missed to keep oblations for Lord Shiva. Sorry. So after chastising Daksha, Sati decided to quit the body given by her father Daksha. So Maitreya Muni very nicely explains in 4.4.27, where in the purport, Prabhupada says, Sati Devi at once thought of the lotus feet of her husband Lord Shiva, who is one of the three great personalities of Godhead in charge of the management of the material world, and simply meditating on his lotus feet, no, she derived such great pleasure that she forgot everything in relationship with her body, including her father. So in this verse, Sharanam Bhuja Savam means nectar of the lotus feet. Chintayati means meditating. And Hatha Kalmash means stains of sin being destroyed. So Prabhupada nicely explains what is taint of sin. He says that sin or contamination was the concept of identifying her body to be derived from Daksha. And by meditation of Lord Shiva's lotus feet, she became free from this bodily relationship. See the point very nicely. So if you meditate on Krishna as lotus feet, and go on glorifying him, automatically you will be not in the bodily concept of life. So Prabhupada says, by this example, we can appreciate the devotee's pleasure in concentrating his mind and attention on the lotus feet of Lord, Supreme Lord Krishna. There is such transcendental bliss in simply meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord that one can forget everything. They forget everything except the Lord's transcendental form. So this is a perfection of yogic samadhi or ecstasy. See, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, verse 20.108, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs Sanatana Goswami, Jivera Swarupa hai Krishnera Nitya Das. Krishnera Atastatha Shakti Abheda Bheda Prakasham. It is the living entity's constitutional position to be an eternal servant of Krishna because he is the marginal energy of Krishna. See, when we can realize our soul's natural position, that all our relatives are also the servants of Krishna, then we can forget our bodily relationships. So, based on our past karmic reactions, and by the will of the Supreme Lord, some souls are accompanying us as father, as mother, husband, wife, brother, sister in our life journey. So, but all souls can be satisfied simply by serving Lord Krishna. Just like how all our parts of the body is nourished by simply feeding the stomach. So Prabhupada explains by quoting Bhagavatam verse 2, 4, 15, Yat Kirtanam, Yat Smaranam. Simply by chanting the holy name of the Supreme Lord of Supreme Personality of Godhead, simply by remembering the lotus feet of Krishna, and simply by offering prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is immediately freed from the material contamination, the material bodily concept of life, by a blazing fire of ecstasy. So this effect takes place immediately without a second's delay. So let us remember follow the instructions of Prabhupada, right? Remember the lotus feet of the Lord and burn the bodily concepts of life by the blazing fire of ecstatic devotional service. See, this episode of the standoff between Daksha and Shiva in the fourth canto is worth a number of lessons. See, to a large part, the episode highlights how much harm can be created by unnecessary envy. Daksha was falsely proud of his opulence, mistreated Lord Shiva, who is the topmost Vaishnava, by not inviting him to the great fire sacrifice, and which was presided over by great rishis and demigods, right? See, even though Lord Shiva was not too much bothered about it, because of his unflinching service to the Supreme Lord Krishna, Mother Sati initially desired to take part in the yajna hosted by her father Daksha. So she went to the sacrificial arena, in spite of the advice of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva told her not to, no need. But she was not greeted properly by her father Daksha, to whom she was once very dear. Understanding that both she and her husband were neglected deliberately, wantedly by her father, she decided to quit her body. Actually, Daksha was envious of Lord Shiva. So even though Lord Shiva was externally associating with ghosts, hobgoblins, internally he was completely absorbed in the remembrance of the Supreme Lord. So because of this, he was universally respected by all the demigods and sages. So Daksha could not tolerate it. So the property of envy is that property of envy. So if you have envy, then you have the property of envy, right? The property of envy is that when someone is given more respect in front of us, it burns us. So much so that Daksha was blind and unapologetic about his own daughter's death. So envy makes us feel that what we are doing, that hating the living entity whom we envy, we feel that is justified, nothing wrong with it. It makes us hard-hearted and it renders us invalid for bhakti. We cannot do bhakti. Prabhupada wonderfully says in 4.4.30, right? For the simple reason that his son-in-law, Lord Shiva, did not stand up to show him the formality of respect. He became so angry and hard-hearted that he tolerated even the death of his dearest daughter. So whenever any guest, right, even if he is an enemy, comes to our house, the Vedic etiquette is that we should receive them with sweet words and make them feel comfortable in our presence. But Daksha was such an elevated personality. He could not remember these saintly qualities, even though he had so much power at his disposal to fill the entire universe with living entities. So result of envy is that one not only suffers in this life due to its burning effect, but he also suffers extremely in his future life. So it is proved in Daksha's case that because of his envy towards Lord Shiva, his head was cut off and it was replaced by the head of a goat. So one cannot imagine how painful it must be to live with the head of a goat, especially when just a few minutes ago he was so much respected by all demigods, by his saints and sages all over the universe, and they came to partake in his great sacrifice. How much painful! So this point is very nicely given in 10:144 by Vasudev to King Kamsa when he was about to slay his own sister Devaki during the marriage parade. So he says, therefore, since envious, impious activities cause a body in which one suffers in the next life, why should one act impiously? So, considering one's welfare, one should not envy anyone. For an envious person must always fear harm from his enemies, either in this life or in the next life. So, when we forget the temporary nature of our own life in this world, we start becoming envious of others, particularly who are seemingly blocking our way to glory and fame, and start fearing that they may harm us, even though they may not have such ideas in their minds at all. It's one sided. So, as a result, we try to harm them either through body, words, or mind. And this starts a chain reaction between the two parties. So, let us remember what happened to Daksha due to his undue envy towards Lord Shiva and pray that let us not get caught up in the web of such bad qualities as envy, pride, while we are living this middle world. So, Krishna has given every one of us the quota we are eligible for. And we really do not need anything beyond that. Except, of course, what we need is unflinching bhakti unto the lotus feet of Krishna. See, a disorganized person can never study Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam. This is the test. A disorganized person can never study Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam because he's always not organized. I have to do here this thing. The mind is always so it's not steady also. And another important point to understand is unless Krishna remembers you, you can never remember Krishna. Unless Krishna remembers you, you can never remember Krishna. So how to force Krishna to remember me so that I can remember him? How to force Krishna to remember us? Because I want him to remember me. So I must start somewhere, right? So I can't do it unless he remembers, right? So force Krishna and catch him and keep him with you in the form of Bhagavad Gita, in the form of Srimad Prabhupada's books, in the form of chanting. So these are all the prelude to devotional service. See, once devotees were telling Prabhupada, you always say Shuddha Bhakta must be there, for initiation. And nowadays it is very difficult. So where to find out? So Prabhupada gave a very nice answer. He said, Rascal, except you, everybody is Shuddha. Your eyes are contaminated. That's why you don't see any Shuddha. So the meaning is from today, always see the good in the living entities. Always see good in living entity. Good in the living entity and magnify. Don't see bad and magnify. No. So in Sati's episode, there is Falgun, Gunan, Bahuli, Karishnavo. So Sati says to her father that my husband Shiva has a good quality. He sees very little good quality and magnifies. See, we all are bad and good also. And good is very little always. So find out some little good and magnify. So this is a prelude to devotional service. See, all of us have some defect or the other. If we are 100% pure, we would not have foolishly left the association of the Supreme Lord Krishna, right? We are all prisoners in this prison house of the material world. Now that we have all fallen down here, there is no point further meditating on the defects. Correct? Because of that, we are already here now. Instead, we should try to help out each other, to progress in the path back home, back to Godhead, by encouraging and appreciating the good qualities in each other. See, a good teacher or parent makes sure to give encouragement, even to an erring or below average child. And we have seen, right, how much such children turn out to become very nice individuals simply because of the love and encouragement they receive from their parents and teachers. That's why acharyas like Prabhupada and all the gurus, parampara, they had this wonderful quality of overlooking our defects and encouraging whatever little good quality we have. See, our gurus, we are still totally contaminated, but they have accepted us as their disciples, overlooking our defects, encouraging whatever little good quality we have. So there are countless souls in this world, right, who can vouch for the truth of our wonderful Srila Prabhupada and all the acharyas in our parampara. Because whatever little good things they are doing now, simply because of the love and encouragement and costless mercy of these Mahatmas. That's why we are able to do this. At least the chanting, and we are able to be in association of devotees and try to do some seva and glorify the Lord. See, there's a small story on the importance and need for seeing good and overlooking the bad in others. A certain man, he planted a rose, okay, and watered it faithfully. And before it blossomed, he examined it. He saw the bud that would soon blossom. But what happened? He noticed thorns all upon the stem. And he thought, how can a beautiful flower come from a plant burdened with so many sharp thorns? So he's saddened, saddened by this thought. No, he neglected to water the rose. And just before it was ready to bloom, it died. It's the same with many people. See, with every soul, there is a rose. The good qualities in us grow amidst the thorns of our faults. So many of us look at ourselves and see only the thorns, the defects. We despair thinking that nothing good can possibly come from us. We neglect to water the good within us, and eventually it dies. We never realize our potential. See, some people do not see the rose within ourselves. Someone else must show it to them. So one of the greatest gifts a person can possess is to be able to reach past the past the thorns of another and find the rose within. This is one of the characteristics of love. To look at a person, know the true faults, know the true faults, and accepting that person into their life and recognizing with nobility in their soul. This is very important. So this is one of the greatest help which our gurus are doing to us. And thereby helping us to overcome our faults by showing the rose within ourselves. They help us to conquer the thorns. So let us pray at the lotus feet of Guru, Srila Prabhupada and Krishna, so that we neither become morose by looking at the thorn-like defects within us, nor do we waste time in pointing out the defects on others. We have to pray for the strength to look at the rose within others and help in a humble way to make them blossom. See, in the 4428 purport, we saw Prabhupada writing, why did Sati become so angry that she gave up her body? And since she was the daughter of a great personality and the wife of a great personality, she had nothing to desire, but still she gave up her body in dissatisfaction. Certainly, this was astonishing. See, just like Hanumanji, he set fire in the kingdom of Ravana. See, very beautiful kingdom, almost all made of gold. But he set fire in that capital of Lanka. He became very angry. See the anger, why Sati became angry now. Here, why? Hanumanji, why he became angry? Not for his personal interest, but he was angry for the interest of Lord Ram. Sita, Lakshman, right? Because Sita was kidnapped by this man Ravana and he was very angry. He has kidnapped my Lord's spiritual energy, Sita. So I shall set fire in his very valuable capital. So this anger, so this demonstration of anger and setting fire was accepted as service. So we should know where to be angry. Not that for our personal interest we should get angry. Generally, those who are devotees, they are not angry. See the example of Arjuna. Arjuna was so much harassed. All the five brothers, by the opposite party, cousin brothers, they insulted Draupadi in the assembly because they lost in the gambling. There was so much trouble. Pandavas were so much harassed. They were tricked, taken away. They took the kingdom put them into a house, set on fire. So Draupadi was insulted. They were driven into the forest for 12 years. So many things harassed, right? But still, when there was fighting in front, in Kurukshetra, when Arjuna saw his brothers are standing, cousins, oh, I will have to fight with my these cousin brothers. Krishna, I am not going to fight. See how much tolerant. Not at all angry. This is the position of a devotee. Actually, enough to make him angry. So the whole of Bhagavad Gita was taught to him by Krishna. Just see. So this is the position that for personal interest, a devotee or Mahatma is never angry. Never. So see the case of Arjuna. So when he understood that Krishna wanted him to fight, it is for Krishna's desire, he became immediately prepared to fight. Karishye Vachanam, Tava 18.73. So further in the purport of 4428, Prabhupada says, since she was the daughter of great personality and wife of a great personality, she had nothing to desire, but still she gave up her body in dissatisfaction. And the very nice statement was, one cannot attain complete satisfaction even if one is situated in the greatest material opulence. So there is nothing Sati could not achieve, either from a relationship with the father or from a relationship with the greatest of demigods, Lord Shiva. But still, for some reason, she was dissatisfied. That's why we saw no, when in Srimad Bhagavatam 126, Prabhupada says, explains that one has to achieve real satisfaction. Yayatma suprasidati. Right? But Atma, the body, mind, and soul, all become completely satisfied only if one develops devotional service to the absolute truth. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adokshaje. And he says adokshaja means the absolute truth. So if one can develop his unflinching love for the transcendental supreme personality of Godhead, right, that can give complete satisfaction. Otherwise, there is no possibility of satisfaction in the middle world or anywhere else. See, all the activities of karmis and gyanis, which have no touch of devotional service, are spoiled in due course of time. So the material success of the karmis is destined to be destroyed. Similarly, the impersonal realization attained by gyanis is also destroyed in course of time. That's why Bhagavatam 10:232 gives, see, to so in, see, the karmis, gyanis they undergo severe austerities, no, to attain impersonal Brahmajyoti. But because they do not find the lotus feet of the Lord, they fall down again into this material existence. So unless one is fully situated in unallowed devotional service, there is no guarantee of liberation. Even if one is elevated to the heavenly planets or to the impersonal Brahman effulgence. But devotee's achievement is never lost by the influence of time. See, even if a devotee cannot completely execute devotional service, in his next life he begins from the point where he left off. So such an opportunity is not given to the karmis and gyanis, whose achievements are destroyed. So bhakta's achievement is never destroyed because it goes on perpetually, be it complete or incomplete. So this is the verdict of all Vedic literatures. Suchinam Shrimatam Gehe Yoga Brashto Abhijayate. If one is unable to complete the process of Bhakti Yoga, he is given a chance in his next life to take birth in a pure family of good devotees or in a rich family. So in such families, a person can have a good opportunity to further progress in devotional service. So when Namraj, superintendent of death, was instructing his assistants, Yamadutas, he told them not to approach the devotees. The devotees should be offered respect, he said, but do not go near them. So the devotees of the Lord are not under the jurisdiction of Yamaraj. Yamaraj is a representative of Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he controls death of every living entity. Yet he has nothing to do with the devotees. So simply by blinking his eyes, time personified can destroy the entire cosmic manifestation. But he has nothing to do with the devotee. So devotional service, which is rendered by the devotee in this lifetime, can never be destroyed by time. So such spiritual assets remain unchanged, being beyond the influence of time. So in the purport of Chaitanya Charitamrita 19.175, Prabhupada says, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura mentions that if one maintains within his heart the desire to enjoy the result of good work or being embarrassed by the material world, the desire to get out of material entanglement, one will never be able to attain the transcendental mellows of devotional service. So if we maintain this desire, to get the fruits, so you cannot. So that means one must not desire material profit when rendering devotional service. And again, Chaitanya 22.51, Madhya Lila, he says, the translation purport is very nice. In the translation, it says, unless one is favored by a pure devotee, one cannot attain the platform of devotional service. Unless one is favored by a pure devotee, one cannot attain the platform of devotional service. We are at least in the platform. That means we are being favored by a pure devotee. To say nothing of Krishna Bhakti, one cannot even be relieved from the bondage of material existence. And the purport says, pious activities bring about material opulence. But one cannot acquire devotional service by any amount of material pious activity. Not by giving charity, opening big hospitals, schools, or working philanthropy. Although they are good, but that will not give you the ultimate goal. So devotional service can be obtained only by the mercy of a pure devotee. So without a pure devotee's mercy, one cannot even escape the bondage of material existence. So if one has material desires or motives within himself, and for fulfillment of such desires, he engages himself in devotional service, the result will be that he will never get pure love of God. If one is thinking, I am engaged in Krishna consciousness, I am in Krishna's devotional service, because I want such and such an opulence. That desire may be fulfilled, but he will never get such unalloyed love for Krishna as the gopis had. If one has a motive, no, even though he discharges his devotional duty, he still will not be able to reach the stage of pure love of God. So as long as that Maya exists within one's heart, how can one enjoy the spiritual bliss derived from pure love of God? If one has material desires, even a desire for salvation, he cannot attain pure love of God. Pure devotion is devoid of all desires. It is simply to render loving service for its own sake. There is a nice example in the life of Rupa Goswami. Now, Rupa Goswami and his brother Sanatana Goswami were living separately in Vrindavana and going on with their bhajan devotion service. Now, Rupa Goswami was living in the forest, and there was no facility for cooking nice food or begging from the village for a chapati to eat. So, Rupa Goswami was the younger brother of Sanatana Goswami, and he was just thinking, if I could get some footsteps, then I could prepare nice dishes and offer them to Krishna and invite my elder brother. He had this desire in his heart. The next moment, a nice girl about 12 years old came and delivered an abundance of foodstuffs, milk, flour, ghee. That is the Vedic system. Sometimes householders present foodstuffs for mendicants and sages in the renounced order of life. Now Rupa Goswami was very happy, very glad that Krishna had sent so many things and he could now prepare a feast. He prepared a feast and he invited his elder brother Sanatana Goswami. So when Sanatana Goswami came, he was astonished. How have you secured such things? You have prepared such a nice feast in this forest. How is it possible? So Rupa Goswami explained. In the morning, I desired for it. And by chance, Krishna sent me all these things. A nice girl came and she offered it to me. So he was describing a girl, a very nice girl. And Sanatana Goswami said, this nice girl is Radharani. You have taken service from Radha, the Lord's eternal consort. It's a great blunder. So that is their philosophy. They would not accept service from the Lord. They simply wanted to render service. But Krishna is so clever that he also wants to serve his devotee. So he looks for an opportunity to serve his devotees. This is spiritual competition. So pure devotee does not want anything from Krishna. He simply wants to serve him. And Krishna also looks for the opportunity to serve his devotee. So Krishna is always anxious to please his devotee, as the devotee is to please Krishna. So this is the transcendental world. See, on the absolute plane, there is no exploitation. Everyone wants to serve. No one wants to take service. So in the transcendental world, everyone wants to give service. You want to give service to me, and I want to give service to you. This is such a nice attitude, right? So this material world means that I want to pickpocket you and you want to pickpocket me. That's all. This is the material world. So we should try to understand it. See, in the material world, everyone wants to exploit his friend, father, mother, everyone. But in the transcendental world, everyone wants to serve. Everyone has Krishna as the central point of serving. And all the devotees, either as friends or servants or parents or lovers of Krishna, all want to serve him. And at the same time, Krishna also wants to serve them. So this is a transcendental relationship. The main function is service. Although there is no necessity of service, because everyone is full, right? So there is no hunger, there is no necessity of eating, but still everyone offers nice things to eat. This is the transcendental world. So unless we attain the stage of simply serving Krishna or his devotee, we cannot release the transcendental pleasure of service. If we have any motive, then that sense will never be awakened. Without a motive, without desire for personal sense gratification, service should be rendered to the Supreme Lord and his devotees. See, we saw in 4.429, the second verse, where in the translation it says, it was astonishing that Daksha, who was Prajapati, the maintainer of all living entities, was so disrespectful to his own daughter Sati, who was not only chaste, but was also great soul, that she gave up her body because of his neglect. And the purport Prabhupada says, the word Aratmya is significant. Atmya means the life of the soul. So this word indicates that although Daksha appeared to be living, actually was dead body. Otherwise, how could he neglect Sati, who was his own daughter? It was the duty of Daksha actually to look after the maintenance and comforts of all living entities, because he was situated as Prajapati, the governor of all living entities. So how is it that he neglected his own daughter, who was the most exalted and chaste woman, a great soul, and therefore deserved most respectful treatment from her father? So the death of Sati because of her being disrespected by Daksha, her father, was most astonishing to all the great demigods of the universe. See, in 4166 purport, Prabhupada says, Lord Shiva, being the head of all mystic yogis, never even considered a home for his residence. Sati was the daughter of a great king, Daksha. And because of his youngest daughter, Sati, selected as her husband, Lord Shiva, King Daksha was not very much satisfied with her. So, whenever she met her father, he unnecessarily criticized her husband, although Lord Shiva was faultless. And because of this, before attaining mature age, Sati gave up her body given by her father, Daksha. So, because he was very expert in performing fruity activity, he was called by the name Daksha, meaning very expert. Lord Brahma therefore engaged Daksha in the work of generating living entities and maintaining them. And in due course of time, Daksha also engaged other Prajapatis, progenitors, in the process of generation and maintenance. So that's all his duty. So Daksha became almost as powerful as Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma engaged in generating a population, right? So Daksha was very influential and opulent. And in his own turn, Daksha engaged other Prajapatis headed by Marichi. So in this way, the population of the universe was increased. So that was his main purpose, maintenance and creation, right? So factually, no one is an enemy or a friend. Everyone is passing through different types of bodies under the law of karma. But as soon as one is situated in his spiritual identity, he does not see differentiation in terms of this law. Now, that means that is given in Bhagavad Gita 18.54. Brahma Bhota Prasannatma na shochati na kankshati samas sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate param. A devotee who is already liberated does not see the differentiation in terms of the outward body. He sees all living entities as spirit souls, eternal servants of the Lord. See, Dhruva Maharaj was advised by Lord Manu to see with that vision. He was specifically advised to do so because he was a great devotee and should not have looked upon other living entities with ordinary vision. So indirectly, Manu pointed out to Dhruva Maharaj that out of material affection, Dhruva Maharaj thought of his brother as his kin and Yakshas as his enemies. Very nice point to understand. Manu pointed out that Dhruva Maharaj was thinking, because of his material affection, he thought of his brother as his kin and the Yakshas as his enemies. So, such observation of differentiation subsides as soon as one is situated in his original position as an eternal servant of Krishna. Then we don't differentiate. And because of material affection, he is my brother, he is my enemy. It doesn't affect. So, we should be in our original position as the eternal servant of Krishna. So, wonderful lessons we were able to learn. More and more could be said, but time is of essence. So, thank you very much, Pujya Mataji. Hare Krishna. I'll stop here. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpataru kripa sindhu bhaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnava. Hare Krishna. Ananta Koti Vaishnava. If you have any questions or anything to share, please go ahead. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, we are not tired of listening to you. Wish
Hare
it could
Krishna.
continue. Hare Krishna.
Gurudev. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandot Pranam. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thanks for a wonderful nectarian class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Gurudev ki jai, Sarva Bharat Kodi Vaishnava. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandot Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Very nice class today, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. All Gurudev's mercy and Prabhupada's mercy. Thank you.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Satyam. Hare Krishna. So you don't have anything else? Okay. Thank you very much, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Let me stop now. Hari Bol.